What we're going to do in this video is we're going to provide you with 6 practical and tangible things that you can do or change that will improve your success. And the first is to try to avoid going out there and talking about the product you sell. And one reason for this recommendation is that it is extremely likely that the prospects that you're reaching out to when you're doing cold outreach, such as cold calling or cold emailing, it's most likely the case that they are not in buying mode for the product or service that you sell. The odds are that they are not sitting there Googling and researching the area for what you sell at the exact time that they answer your call or receive your cold email. And this means that if you're reaching out and trying to sell your product, you're likely to create a mismatch between what you're wanting to talk about and where the prospect is mentally at that exact time. And this greatly increases the odds of you having to face objections like, I'm not interested. We do not have any budget right now. We already use someone for that, and we're not looking at making any changes right now. By simply decreasing how much you talk about the product or service you sell, you can decrease how much of these objections you have to face day in and day out. And you might think to yourself, well, I am a salesperson trying to sell a product, so if I don't go out and try to sell the product and talk about the product, what am I going to talk about? And that leads to our second tip, which is to focus more on the value your product or service delivers to the prospects you're trying to sell to. Our natural instinct as salespeople is to talk about the product we sell. And what we want to do is we want to minimize this, and instead we can focus on the improvements our product or service delivers to our prospects, and this is the value that we have to offer. And by doing this, you will more directly answer the question of what's in it for me for the prospect. So my recommendation is to simply create a list of benefits that your product or service can deliver to the prospect you're trying to sell to. And by having that list in front of you, you will not only be able to improve your ability to explain to the prospect what's in it for them, but you will improve your ability to grab their attention and build interest. Now, if you don't already have a list of benefits your product can deliver, here are a list of questions that you can go through to create an optimum set of benefits for what you sell. Does your product help to make something work better? Help to make something easier? Decrease the time it takes to do something? Increase revenue or income for your prospect? Decrease their costs or expenses? Improve the product or service that they sell? Decrease the risk of something bad happening? Improve their visibility and access to information. And what we can do is we can actually look to the features and the functionality of our product and look at each feature and how it compares to those list of areas to come up with a list of improvements. Decrease time spent ordering, increase ordering accuracy, improve visibility to real-time information, decrease staffing and labor costs, decrease inventory costs, improve decision-making. And the third thing you can do to improve your results when working in tech sales is to focus more on the problems your product can help to solve for your target prospects. This is extremely helpful because not only can talking about the problems you solve help you to explain what your product does, but prospects are more motivated to spend money and quicker to take action when they are doing something to solve a problem or stop something from hurting. So the recommendation here would be to simply create a list of pain points your product or service can help to solve, and then by simply having that in front of you or at the front of your mind, you can communicate better when you're calling prospects, delivering presentations, creating cold emails. Now, if you need help creating your list of pain points, one thing you can do is bring back the list of improvements we created on the last tip, because there is a yin and a yang relationship between the improvements you can deliver and the problems you help to solve. In other words, for each improvement that you can create, there is an opposite problem that is solved. So what we can do is we can look at each improvement and say, what is the opposite of that? Or what problem goes away when we create this improvement? Or what problem starts to happen if the prospect does not purchase our product or service and benefit from the improvements that we can deliver to them? And then look at each of those to create our list of pain points. For example, it might be time consuming to submit orders. The process without our help might be very error prone. It might be difficult to have visibility and view orders and inventory. Businesses might be spending a lot of time and labor costs on placing orders when there are errors in the process that could be extremely costly to the organization, and it might be more difficult to make the key and correct decisions. And the fourth tip is to tailor your messaging to the audience that you're communicating with. There are likely different types of buyers you can sell your product to. For example, if you sell B2B, you probably could sell your product to different industries or different size of businesses or different departments in the organization or different levels in the department. Each of these different audiences has different needs, different interests, and different pain points. We just talked about creating a list of improvements you can deliver and a list of pain points you can help to solve. Those lists of talking points could and most likely will change when you change the audience that you're communicating with. For example, if you're selling B2B and you can sell your product to IT because you're in tech sales, you most likely could also sell your product to operations or to finance. When you go from selling from one department to another, the product and the features stay exactly the same, but the benefits you deliver and the pain points you resolve can be completely different. And by tailoring your message to the audience you're communicating with and to the audience you're trying to sell to, that additional step could be the difference that separates you from the competition and could be the difference between failure and success. And the fifth thing to do when working in tech sales is to focus more on selling the conversation instead of selling the product. What most salespeople do is they operate in more of a product selling mode when talking with prospects. Even if they can't take the order right there on the phone or in the email, most salespeople still sell the product by trying to validate if the prospect wants or needs the product they sell in every interaction. And not only is that not necessary and makes selling more difficult, but selling the product is usually not the next step in the sales process. Usually the next step in the sales process is simply talking more and having a deeper, longer conversation in the form of an appointment or a meeting. And by simply avoiding your natural instinct of trying to sell the product and focusing more on selling the conversation, you can immediately improve your effectiveness and sales results. And the sixth tip is to improve your ability to ask good questions. If we're shifting gears and focusing on selling the prospect on talking more and having a conversation, one of the best ways to improve your ability to close the prospect on talking more is by simply being good at finding a reason to talk more. And the best way to find a reason to talk more is simply asking good questions. Now, you might agree with that 100%, but still not know what questions to ask. And so a good place to start is to create a list of what we refer to as pain questions. And that's simply a list that probes to see if the prospect has the pain that you can help to solve. And to create that list, all we have to do is look back at the list of pain points we created on the previous step, because for each pain point, there is a question we could ask to see if the prospect has that challenge or concern. So we can just go down our list of pain questions and ask ourselves, what question could we ask for that pain point? To create questions like, how do you feel about the time you spend on ordering? How concerned are you about errors being in your orders? How important is it for you to view orders and inventory? How concerned are you about the time it takes to place orders? How much are errors impacting profitability? How do you feel about your ability to make good decisions regarding your inventory? So hopefully those tips can help give you some new ideas for how to perform at a higher level when working in tech sales. Now, if you want help coming up with your benefits and your pain points and your questions, we actually have a sales message brainstorming process that will create an optimum list of what to say and ask for the product or service that you sell. And as you can see, this process completely aligns with all of the tips we just discussed. And if you were to go through this process, this is an example of what you might come up with. Now, if you're looking at this and feeling either intimidated that you don't know if you can create all of this for the product or service that you sell, or if you're feeling lazy, thinking that you don't feel like going through all these steps and creating all of this, the good news is that in Sales Scripter, we have an area called the Sales Message Builder. And the Sales Message Builder actually aligns with each of these steps and will take you through each of these to create your sales message. And the Sales Message Builder is actually integrated with AI and ChatGPT, allowing you to use ChatGPT to create the first version of your sales message in a matter of seconds. And then you could use that as a starting place to build on by making modifications and additions to make it your own and something you can use when talking with your prospects. But once you go through each of these steps creates what we refer to as building blocks, and you can then mix and match those building blocks to create your cold call script, your appointment script, cold email messages, voicemail messages, objection responses, and a lot more. And so that is pretty much it. If you have questions or you want more information, the best place to go is salesscripter.com. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.